Okay, normally we start off with like a little shout out to certain people, but this time since we've done a couple of the shout outs, I want to do a personal little update stuff of the IRL thing where since I gave up the pervert crown to Sally, I've actually noticed that I can never pick up the crown again because the only sexual dreams I can have are of my life partner. And by that same thing, it's like, if I can't be the pervert for all these different ladies that we talk about that are famous, why hold on to the crown? So there's progress on that end for, I may be an adult now and I know what I want. I don't know. Y'all are probably scared about this. Who cares? Intro, now!
Growing up and growing older, don't you feel the time moving forward every morning when we rise? If only we can make it right before the sun says goodnight.
Hello everybody, welcome back to... What the fuck are you doing?
You destroyed my phone!
I was just trying to swat your hand.
Literally, it exploded. My phone is in pieces right now.
Is it really?
Oh my fucking god.
Oh my god! Okay, so for our listeners at home, he was doing doing the jack off thing in the air the whole time Vinny was talking. I was just trying to lightly swat his hand, and his whole phone fell into 3 pieces on the floor.
Holy shit.
It exploded.
Wow, how rude.
It exploded everywhere.
I meant it with love and affection, I swear.
Oh, here's the best part.
Oh my god!
This thing is a monster. Its screen is almost completely in pieces.
You need a new phone.
Yes, I do.
That sounds
this
like
thing's
my
a
phone
beast.
right now.
This thing is being, honestly, interned in a tomb of its own.
We should do it up like the Egyptians.
I was thinking Nordic style.
Mummify that shit, yo.
I was thinking Nordic style with some of the
The new
pressurized
Nokia.
salt.
Okay,
this son of a bitch.
okay, I gotta focus now. Alright, but still, welcome back everyone to What Grinds Against the podcast owned by family, ran by family with the new team of lawyers, where we had to take a 2-week break because Britt pointed out that I'm exhausted. Not wrong, but I'm exhausted. And everyone else is just like, let's just reconvene when we can all be free. And I'm like, okay, let's try and do that. And we got as many of us together as we could because certain things are going on, like Hubs is hunting, Sally's taking care of the husband, Jazz is doing jazz things, which leaves the 4 of us to have all the fun.
Yay!
So on the round table, on like the right side of the table, because I see a lot of pixie sticks now just on standby, so I'm already seeing Phoenix is going to be snorting some pixie sticks in a couple of minutes. We have, of course, the lords, ladies of all things destructive, all things cataclysmic, all things that will make you cry and say, God, why are you tormenting us? Of course, the legendary and infamous Shweebe and Phoenix!
Oh my god!
How are you guys doing this evening?
Fantastic. Thanksgiving was fun. I had fun. We had a lot of food, even though we downsized it a lot, and then we both worked Black Friday. His department was dead. Mine was just busy from 6 a.m. all the way to 2 p.m. And then I went home, and I slept for 12 hours because I was not feeling all that great.
Shweebe was not on this earth anymore.
I was gone in dreamland.
And she's not in the studio. She's not in the studio around the round table right now. She's making a run at her day job. But we all know this lady conquering one stream at a time. Right now she's in Delta Ruin, where I'm not going to give away the spoilers that happen in episode 1 because I've seen it. And I'm mad at Toby Fox right now. And her child with the sun testicle is still just all the time doing the right thing he wants to do as the cat boy, even though he says he's not a cat. Give it up, everyone, for Britt from Brittopia!
Oh, hello everyone.
Britt, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I finally got out of that restaurant, so now I'm just on my way to deliver this food to this person. And then I'll be done.
Alright.
Oh my god.
And as the final introduction, the true MVP of this entire show.
Oh, sure.
My phone.
My phone.
It's rude.
No, my phone got blasted to the ground, thrown into 3 pieces, and restarted in less than 30 seconds. This thing is the MVP.
The damn MVP.
The true MVP is Vinny for always hosting these, so I think that tops your phone. Round of applause for Vinny!
You can't give him credit for always being the bottom. That's not you.
It's better bitch than your phone! Your phone's a skank!
My phone's a top. What are you
Needs
talking
a
about?
washing. Alright.
So, speaking of MVPs, tonight is the Legends podcast. We're going over the legends of King Arthur, the King of Ambion, aka Great Britain, and legend of Robin Hood, the rogue with a heart of gold. Which one do you guys want to start off with first? Because either or, we're still going to be doing both tonight.
Is there anything in specific that we're talking about, or just like
The
what we know?
whole field is open. We're covering everything
Oh
except
my-
dick sizes.
Oh, damn it! I was gonna open with that, Vinny. God, I'm just saying, Arthur's kind of overcompensating with Excalibur. Robin Hood knows it, right?
I mean,
Don't
we saw
talk
the
about it, you
bulge
just
in
show
Man
it.
in Tights. We know he's packing. That's
Of
why
course,
I said we ain't
them
starting with dick
tights just
sizes.
accentuate everything. Just that is all bulge, baby. That is not a sock. Well, okay, I'll start because I absolutely love Robin Hood and the Knights of the Round Table, or King Arthur, and my God, there's so many variations of that one set of stories right there. But the reason that I have a huge attachment for them is because when I was a kid, in order for me to actually like read books, my parents set up this thing where if I read certain books, they'd pay me like $10, $20, provided it was right around my grade level. So it's like, all right, so like here, read Robin Hood, and then the next one that you can read will be King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. I read both, and I absolutely fell in love with them. I've read more about Robin Hood, so I have variations of that book. I also found a book called Rowan Hood, where it's like this random book about his daughter. That one is really good. I forget who actually wrote it, but if you guys ever come across it, it's literally titled Rowan Hood. It's so cute. And then, not to mention, there's a crap ton of movies, ranging from the Disney one where Robin Hood was a fox, which I thought fit very well. And then there's the one guy with the face, and what's his name? Didn't Snape play as the Sheriff? What's his face?
Sheriff of Nottingham?
Yeah, didn't Snape play that guy?
I have
Like,
no idea.
Pretty sure. I can't. It's it's Robin Hood and the King of Thieves. I forget the guy who played as Robin Hood, but I could see his face, and he did a really good job.
I never saw
And then,
King
of
Thieves.
course, there's a personal favorite in this household is Robin Hood Men in Tights. We know all the songs, baby. We're
You
men.
first.
I need to watch that movie
You
again.
drunken mule, you.
You drunken mule, you. Oh, and
Gotten
then
into the ceremonial wine again, haven't you? You first. You drunken mule, you.
no, just Mary. And then the King Arthur thing, the earliest that I can remember, like show-wise. Actually, I think I've only seen one thing. Was the Disney movie Sword in the Stone, which, as I was younger, I didn't realize that was technically like a weird prequel to King Arthur and all that stuff until I was much older. The only reason that I absolutely love that is for one scene. It's when Merlin gets his long-ass beard caught in the door and he pulls it out and he turns into a giant dandelion. Just poof. I played that one scene, which is like maybe 15 frames long, like 70 times back to back and was bawling. I was laughing so hard. And there you go. Past that, I don't think I've seen anything else for King Arthur, and yeah. Next person! Yeah!
Britt, you want to
That's all
go,
I
or you want to go, or are you trying to focus on the run right now?
No, I just delivered the food and stuff, so I'm just trying to find a place to park, really. But, honestly, all I really know is the cartoon movies, and I think that, no, that's not a Robin Hood at all. Anyway, yeah, so I only know, what was it, what was it called? Just Robin Hood, right? I think it was the Disney version?
Yeah.
I think it was Disney.
Oh, with
Yeah.
the foxes.
Yeah, with the
Disney's
fox.
Robin Hood.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
That damn song will haunt me forever.
I know. It's one of those songs that the moment it starts, your brain is playing the whole song.
I know. However, this is when the old man in the room just sits down and gives the whole big-ass dictionary encyclopedia version of King Arthur, and then what little he remembers about Robin Hood. Now,
Oh, do it.
Now, for a lot of people that know me on my YouTube channel right now, I've been covering for like the past 2 years and counting of Merlin. So I've been really looking into the history of King Arthur's court, where, funny enough, the original story only has fragments because so little was told in historical factors where people knew there was a king. He was in actual historical text and even mentioned in certain religious texts, but they never mentioned Excalibur, just that he fought a guy named Mordred and his death was never classified. Then there was other elements like Merlin wasn't really a wizard originally, but a demon kid that learned magic and was sealed away into a pocket dimension by his student of Morgana Le Fay. And that Lancelot is a fanfic character that was only made because they were like, what if Arthur's wife cheated on him and it was all good in the kingdom? Because that's how it rolls in the hood, yo. What? What? And then afterwards comes everyone else in the round table, but I'm also pointing out that Lancelot cheating on Gwen is not a good thing. And then also that Mordred is now the incest baby of Arthur Pendragon and his half-sister Morgan Le Fay, who's trying to then take over Camelot by killing off his dad uncle, and then sealing him away where he's now sleeping underneath a certain mountain or island in Britain where he will be resurrected in the time of Britain's most perilous time in need. Where the whole history of Arthurian lore is crazy. The Knights of the Round Table have different adventures like the Holy Grail, the Green Knight, all these sort of stuff, even making Lancelot one of the most unlikable knights in history. Just so much weirdness, and it doesn't stop. It still grows to this day. No one can stop with Arthurian lore because it's every fucking where now.
Wait, the Holy Grail?
Yes.
'Tis but a flesh wound.
You know what? I feel weird after you describing a little bit of the Merlin. Was that a show or was that like a couple movies?
It is a 5-season show from BBC 3 about the life of Merlin as a wizard now, because they've remade him from a demon kid into a full-blown wizard that helps out Arthur, who's also sometimes confused with his father Uther, and in other mythologies they're both the same, which is weird.
Huh. I vaguely recall watching some kind of show about a wizard. I may have been that, and I just wasn't paying attention. Because that sounds exactly like what happened. Someone slept with their sister that they didn't know was their sister, and then the sister had a kid, and it was all like, gross, ew,
Yeah, they try to steer away from that in new modern interpretations of Arthurian lore, and I'm happy for that.
When did we start talking about Game of Thrones?
Hey, Britt. Anyway,
I know, right? I was
dangly parts. Sorry.
Then there's also Robin Hood. Now, a lot of different things come up when I look at Robin Hood, where it's like some people say he was a real-life person because of historical evidence. Other people say that he wasn't because it's just mostly historically fictional accounts, like saying that Abraham Lincoln was a vampire hunter. I could kind of believe that because he looks like a Frankenstein monster anyway. So when it comes down to all that, when I'm trying to look into the stuff of Robin Hood, it just goes along with him and Mary what's-her-face, and all of his jolly men, including Little John, not to be confused with the rapper, obviously. And them just trying to steal stuff from the impotent King Richard because the rights to the people belong to the people. And then there's just the Disney movie, the several live-action movies, including the one that recently just dropped. So I'm just like, I don't know that much about Robin Hood, except for all the stuff Doctor Who kept trying to do for him, and then now I'm just like, what the fuck am I supposed to even do anymore? I'm confused! Well, that's enough about the backstory. Why don't we talk about their arsenal and allies right now?
Little John? Little John's one, right?
I mean, he's kind of like the comic relief to his whole arsenal of things.
To be fair, there was only one thing about Little John that was little. And it wasn't his biceps.
Wow. You're right on point there, Phoenix.
No, they actually said it in one of the Robin Hood books that one of his issues and why he was such a raging character was the fact that he could not get laid because all the women laughed at him.
Wow. Oh my god, I just get it now. Little John.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even though he was easily 6'7" and probably about 400 pounds of straight muscle. He was the biggest character in the series. Yeah.
Pick us up for Little John.
What was the guy's name? I don't know if it was
Blinken.
Hush your face. Don't make me come over there.
Did you say Abe Lincoln? No, I said Abe Lincoln.
I said, hey, Blinken, hold the reins, man. No, well, actually, no, that movie kind of portrays who I'm talking about. It's, they always referred to him as the Painted Man. Cause, what the fuck? I don't know his actual name, cause they do a play on word in the Tights version, but in King of Thieves, he was like his best friend from when they were warring off and wherever, cause I forget, I haven't watched the movie in years. But he's the black guy, and he's got the things here, and he was freaking cool, man. He kicked ass. He killed that witch and was like, slicey dicey. Yeah, you're dead. What's up? I can't think of his name, though. I'm gonna look it up, because it's gonna bother me now.
Well, while we're on the subject of Robin Hood, the only thing I can really think of is, out of all the archers that have ever existed, fictional or not, he kind of beats out a lot of them except for maybe two. And I'm only thinking of Green Arrow and Hawkeye.
Holy crap.
It was Morgan Freeman.
God, I was going to say God played in that movie.
God played
Morgan Freeman played as the guy, and the guy's name was Azim.
Nazim.
No, I just said Azim.
Nazir.
It was Azim.
It
was Azim.
Shweebes, we all have admitted to ourselves that Morgan Freeman is God. He's the voice of God.
That explains why he was able to defeat the evil witchy witch with the slicey diceys.
Mm-hmm.
Makes chili and fries.
That and he gave freaking Bruce 7 fingers for no reason.
He was only made to be the voice because we'd only listened to that voice.
Well, that 7 and 6 finger is for pleasure, so I don't quite understand.
more fingers for strokies. There you go.
But yeah, I don't think there's ever been two other archers that could beat out Robin Hood other than Marvel and DC's very own Green Arrow and Hawkeye. Because he's an accomplished archer, but I don't think there's any other feats other than that. Like,
actually, the original Robin Hood was skilled as an archer, but that wasn't his actual skill. Where his true skill lies. He was actually a swordsman. But he became known for his bowmanship because archers were usually less talented. So, if you are really good at a sword, but there's a lot of people who are really good at a sword, and you're really good at a bow, but there's only a couple people really good at a bow, which one are they going to remember you for?
The bow.
Exactly. He was actually an even more accomplished swordsman. They show that occasionally in different movies and videos where once they get too close, he'll just drop the bow without a thought and pull a sword and start kicking ass that way.
Jesus.
And that's because he was and is one of the best swordsmen of his time.
Because him's a badass.
Oh yeah, Robin Hood was an absolute badass.
Wearing all the tightest of tights. So that the Lady Mary could see his bulge.
I could hear that from a mile away.
Take notes, David Bowie's ghost.
Oh, that. You know, surprisingly, as a kid, I never noticed that until somebody pointed it out years later when I was older. I was like, no, he doesn't. Yes, he does. Oh my God.
You do know.
How did I not see that?
You do know in the Goblin King they have a fake bulge just to make it look overly pronounced.
They
right?
had to have, because I don't know how as a kid I never saw that. I was just more entranced by the movie itself.
Yeah.
Well,
entranced.
played with his balls in front of you at every turn.
Why is he smuggling a squirrel?
I kicked.
But still, from just Robin Hood's side, he's a bowsman, he's an archer, the man had his own married men, and he had like a rich lady that he was banging on the side. But what does that leave for Arthur? A lot, actually.
The bitch in the lake?
Incest.
Well, not only having his own sister wife and his own married wife, he's also had the Knights of the Round Table that have fought immortals and other sort of deities. One actually going to heaven just for finding the Holy Grail because he was holier than thou. He was trained by Merlin in certain interpretations, got Excalibur or Calborg, depending on the version. And he's still technically one of the immortal figures that isn't dead. He's legend to be sleeping underneath an island/mountain that's being guarded by the Desir or certain mystical creatures. Or Merlin, depending on the version. Point is, they gave King Arthur like all these godlike powers because Britain is Britain, yo.
I saw that.
Did nothing.
Look, I think that world needs to stop trying to resurrect people. They've already had a few come back, and none of them have had positive results.
Phoenix, let it go already.
What? Look, just because they brought you back, I mean, you don't got to get your panties all in a wad.
I'm just mad that nobody else knows about John.
Let it go, man!
No, we watched a movie just recently that was amazing. It was about a 14,000-year-old caveman named John.
It's not real, so before anybody starts like, there's no freaking way, it's a movie. It's not a documentary. Mine God.
I wish it was, because it would undermine everything in this world.
How about we talk about the next time on Game Grumps?
But
just some other time.
I'm not so
But it's John. Nobody knows about the greatness of John.
Okay, we can take like a
you guys
little
can
bit
find
out
it on Netflix.
to talk about John. Phoenix, the floor is yours. Talk about
You
John.
give him too much power, I'm telling you.
Oh
right
yeah, no,
now.
you should not be doing this.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
good.
Okay,
So-
John himself was a caveman who found when he reached about the age of 30, he stopped aging. Ever. So, he has been going through the times, learning and relearning everything as he goes. Now, he was in Tibet at around 200 BC, learning from the Buddha himself. And from there, he ended up in a small country in Israel, and started deciding he wanted to teach Buddhist teachings with a slight flair.
Me and V both tilt our head.
Now, the hilarity is, John, through monk-like training, had learned to slow his heartbeat. So after being accused of being a terrible person, he was put on a cross and thought to be dead. John, after a couple days, restored his heartbeat and attempted to leave without being caught. Needless to say, this sparked a lot of stories in a particular book that are all bullshit. And it's hilarious. This is actually the story. The movie is explaining how he was misinterpreted and he had to watch his creation spiral out of control. Even explaining how the name John was translated to Jesus. Starting with the Hebrew name Yohanan. And he literally traced it through the translations all the way down to Jesus.
Wow, that's interesting.
Even though his name is John.
There's a lot more to it than what we're explaining. That's just the part of the movie that just made us go, damn. But it's really interesting. Like, as of right now, they're calling it episode 1, which is surprising because if episode 1 is like an hour long, they've already put out a trailer for a second one. The second one, I don't know if I'm going to watch, because I feel like the first one left off in such a good way for me to, like, think outside the box on a lot of different stuff that was talked about in just that one movie. Don't know if I care to see the second one.
Oh, the premise of the movie is, being that he is eternally 30 years old, he can't stay in one place for too long, because eventually people will start noticing, holy fuck, you look really good for being 80 years old.
Right.
So what he does is he goes to colleges and he'll learn from there, and he'll go to high-end colleges and he'll learn there, or he'll teach there. And then after, 20 years or so, he'll leave and he'll move to another place in the world. And he's just been doing this over and over and over again. Now he's at a current junction when he is going to, once again, up and leave. However, he has decided to have one last hurrah with his friends in the college, and ends up spilling the beans of who he really is, just to see how they would react to it. Are you reading about this movie?
No, I just found out about Ricky J dying today.
Oh.
Wait,
I
who?
can't put a face to that, so who is that?
Ricky J, master magician and actor in Deadwood and Boogie Nights.
Oh.
How old was he?
70.
Decent. Pretty decent.
It's a nice run.
Yeah.
It's not 14,000, but...
It's not... Oh my god. Don't undermine... Wow. Shame on you. Add that to the apology list, please.
Well, we don't have one anymore.
Oh, we don't? Oh, fuck it. You apologize, then.
I apologize for nothing.
This is true.
I just undermined Jesus in one episode. I think I have no reasons to apologize.
Just for replacing it with some man named John, who's not even real.
Exactly.
Well, as much as it is interesting to talk about John, we're going to save that for a different podcast at a later point. Right now, we got to get back to the legends right now of King Arthur and Robin Hood, where I want to do something a little bit iffy right now.
We're not going to ship them, are we?
Oh, God, no.
Oh, yes.
Oh, God, you started
We talked about penis sizes as soon as this podcast started. You best believe we're
Robin
shipping.
Hood would just demolish his anus. We got to stop right there.
Oh, yeah. Arthur would be a bottom. 100%.
The thing I wanted to kind of take apart that, not like a battle to the death, but like putting like their arsenal stuff, their allies, wiping out any sort of outside assistance, but just how they were charismatic, all this sort of stuff. If there was like a head-to-head thing, I want to find out from each of us right here, which one would come out more victorious in a hand-to-hand sort of, not hand-to-hand sort of say, but one-on-one versus kind of duel. Not to the death, but just till one submits.
Oh, I like. Me personally, I feel like swords, if you're just doing it like sword play, I feel like Arthur would be the strongest in that aspect. I mean, yes, Robin Hood is a skilled swordsman himself, but I don't know. I feel like Arthur would probably be a lot stronger in that field because, just because. It's my opinion. I don't have facts. I don't have figures. That's my thought. Next person!
I think in a hands-down fight, Robin Hood would win in both aspects. Only because Arthur was trained in standard fighting. Straight up, face-to-face, old-school British fighting. Robin Hood, on the other hand, was a thief and a brigand. He was taught to fight in any way that kept him alive.
Oh, to fight to survive.
Mm-hmm. Robin Hood would have no issues stabbing Arthur in the foot with a knife in order to cut his throat.
This is true. I mean, if you watch the movie King of Thieves, he actually gets somebody... he winds up getting somebody else's hand chopped off by doing some sneaky bullshit. So, okay, fine, I retract what I say. That makes way more sense. No,
you're still perfectly allowed to have that opinion that Arthur would be the better swordsman.
So much more sense. The will to survive will always find a way to kill the opposing team, no matter how fucking skilled they are.
I think on a straight play, I think Arthur would win in a swordsmanship if they were playing fair. I just don't think Robin would honestly end the fight playing fair.
Sure.
I'd agree with that.
Not that Robin was a complete scoundrel of any kind. He's not Han Solo here. But I just don't think if it came down to something where something was on the line, Robin Hood would have no issues making sure he won that fight.
It's a good point.
Doodly-doo.
He'd have Arthur bent over screaming about Robin Hood pulling his sword out of the stone.
Get your sword out of my stone!
Exactly.
Now, in comes me with the unpopular opinion where, as much as I could see Robin Hood winning in an unfair fight, the thing I don't see being like the ultimate factor of Robin Hood winning is the fact that Arthur has magic also at his disposal, whether it's utilized or not. He still had at least guidance and training from Merlin, who's deemed one of the greatest sorcerers in fiction. As such, we don't know if that arsenal that he learned, no matter people write about it later or if there's actually hidden text about it, if he could utilize that as a sort of backup tool in the case of sword, then archery, then trickery.
That's a good point,
See,
too.
my issue still comes back to the original concept of Arthur was raised as a very straight character in all of the novels I've read. He's not one to play trickery. If his opponent had magic, Arthur would use magic. If his opponent was wielding a sword, Arthur would wield a sword. He just was such a straight character from what I had read.
Pure-hearted about it.
Exactly. He was a noble. So, I don't know if, honestly, Arthur would have used magic against Robin Hood because Robin Hood couldn't use magic.
Fair point.
But, honestly, that does tip the scales in Arthur's favor. If Arthur honestly went all out with the intent to win no matter what, I'd hand it to Arthur, based on the information you just gave.
I mean, that's just one of those things where I hear all the evidence, but at the same time, I'm just like, there's so much that is left untapped because a lot of the stories are still fragmented. Like, we don't know how much training was happening in certain aspects because they focused on other characters. We don't know how much of the training went into making him the straight-laced because in certain interpretations he wasn't raised to be the straight and narrow person. He was raised to be a commoner, then made to be a king. So it's like, we have no idea about Arthur's whole thing, but we know more about Robin Hood, which makes it the hardest thing to do. Cause...
Well, here's the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
So here's the other thing, though. Is Arthur wielding Excalibur?
That is also a good point.
No other sword could withstand the swing of Excalibur. In that instant, it didn't matter. Arthur would win.
True.
So is Arthur honestly wielding his greatest weapon? Or is he wielding a common iron sword are we making this a straight fight from the beginning where the two are wielding on equal terms? Are they both aware that this is an equal term fight? There's no real set boundaries for it, and so what yardstick would we measure them?
Okay, this is where my beginner level dungeon master is gonna come into play. Okay, and
I roll a 1.
This is a beginner level dungeon master. I'm not very huge on dungeon mastering yet. Give me time. Okay, the set stage is like this. We're gonna set it in like a time period where Robin Hood, for some odd reason, is in the same era as Arthur before his untimely sleep coma demise. At this point, Arthur is having Excalibur with his band of the Knights of the Round Table. Robin Hood's trying to rob the people of Ambien because he thinks that the king is unjust, thinking it's still Uther in command, because news travels very slowly to Nottingham. As such, the Jolly Men would have to duel off against the Knights of the Round Table in their own regards, but Arthur, being the headstrong individual that he has been in a lot of literature, is going after Robin Hood, where they meet up in a unique forest that's very much someplace that Arthur has trained a lot, but Robin Hood has gotten a very good feel for it because of scouting missions from the other Jolly Men. And thus the battle would commence with them at their peak physical attributes, just going in with the tools that they have at hand.
Arthur would lose. Do you want to know why?
Tell me.
Robin Hood would not be fighting in order to kill Arthur. He would not be fighting in order to win. He'd be fighting in order to get away. Robin Hood, at all times, is only ever interested in the success of the missions that he's doing. Beating Arthur has nothing to do with that success. All that is possibly buying time so his other men can get away from the other knights before he himself disappears away from Arthur.
True.
Honestly, Arthur would lose because Arthur would be under the intentions of trying to beat Robin Hood. Robin Hood would be doing hit and runs.
Yeah, Robin Hood was never really big into the whole I'm gonna beat you kind of thing. His was more like revenge, really. So, I mean, unless Arthur did something like he killed, his beloved Mary, Robin would just leave well enough alone. Past that, he would kill him outright.
Oh no, Robin Hood wouldn't even do that. Knowing Arthur is a straight-laced character and would chase him,
he'd probably fuck with him at best.
He would honestly booby-trap the entire forest, and by the end of it, have Arthur in a trap before finally cutting him down for whatever purpose.
True.
Like I said, in a straight fight, Arthur would win hands down. I don't think, honestly, Robin Hood would ever fight fair. That's my issue. Sorry, say again?
I was saying Brit's very quiet.
She's too busy thinking about
it's I was just listening to you two. I'm actually looking up if there is a debate online somewhere.
Oh,
if not, there will be now. But
we're talking about debate
score 1 for beginners level dungeon master. I'm getting somewhere.
Oh, I love the story. That was a nice setup. I just think Arthur rolled a 1.
True.
And Robin Hood has weighted dice.
Yes. And now, while Britt is doing the research on her end, we're gonna move into one of my favorite things to do now that I'm getting more comfortable with my writing stuff. Since we've talked about the legends as a whole, if you guys were to make a story from the lore that you know now, but wanted to translate it into a modern era, like maybe Robin Hood is cloned now from real life cells into being a new person in this day and age, or King Arthur has been summoned by Britain in their greatest time of need in the 21st century, what would that story entail in your mind?
Like what they'd have to put up with nowadays?
That and how they would accustom to it, because remember, they're from like the era of just like milady, knaves, swines, all the proper stuff, Queensberry rules, and all the stuff of not bathing on a regular basis.
Ugh. I feel like between the two, Robin would probably be the one to adapt a bit more easily because, again, he's got that fight or flight, survivability, adaptability. Where Arthur's, he's a kingly king kind of thing. I feel like Robin would probably wind up being a couple of different things. One, he'd either be, he might still be a street urchin, but would be well known, probably very similar to what he does in the books anyways, still be able to get enough money and help out those that he knows are in need. Or, as they're playing it off, if any of you have seen the trailers for the newest Robin Hood that's coming out, he might, if certain people catch him, at least the skills that he has, he might wind up being an assassin. A hired gun or a merc. That's where I could foresee him going.
Yeah,
And kind of winding up like Deadpool, how he's like a merc for hire, but he'll only pick certain missions. Know what I mean?
I can see that.
That's my thought on it, anyways.
I think of a similar situation, but in Robin Hood's instance, I think he would end up being a mob boss of sorts, getting his own cartel or grouping of people going, taking over a country and using his group as the underworld of that country, essentially, to help keep it running the way it should. Essentially doing bad in order to do good. I think that's how I picture Robin Hood. I also picture Robin Hood 100% mastering really, really powerful guns, especially ones that require accuracy and aim. Meanwhile, I could picture Arthur becoming head of a Fortune 500 company and running a Knights of the Round as a secret service, essentially, helping to protect the country that he's in. Essentially what the Knight Templar are now. See what I'm saying? Getting his own little group of people together. They work in the shadows, but their job is still the same, to make sure the country does what it needs to and help to keep it going the way it should. But I could picture both Arthur and Robin Hood in a suit. Think Robin Hood more like Scarface kind of suit, where it's got that open, no tie. And usually the arms are rolled up, just because Robin Hood's that kind of informal guy.
Showing off possible tattoos or something?
Oh, fuck yes. He would have tattoos all up and down his arms. Even up on his neck.
As long as he's just hanging out with like one of those douchebag rappers like Lil Pump or Tekashi 6ix9ine, I'd be like, hell no, Robin,
no.
no.
Like Reno from FF7 then.
Yeah.
There you go.
Reno or possibly FF15, Muscle Man. I can't remember his name. Yep.
There you go.
That level of like muscle, like not muscle, but like the tattoos, the way it is, tasteful, tribal, but nothing too over the top. Meanwhile, Arthur would be very clean cut, very straight laced, suit and tie, perfectly in place. He would look every bit the CEO of a company.
AKA
meanwhile,
like a bitch.
He would always have Excalibur somewhere around him.
I feel like if they were like brought to this time, I feel like that their weapons might change to adapt with them, so they could, especially Excalibur, because that shit's magic, yo. I'm just saying, swords were the things then during Arthur's time when he found it. So who's to say that Excalibur wouldn't be magical or almost what's the term? Not AI, but something
self-evolving.
Yeah, essentially self-evolving. There's some kind of big word there I want to use, and I can't think of what the hell it's called.
Metamorphic weaponry.
Like sentient? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Sentient weaponry,
intelligent.
Yeah, where it's intelligent to know, okay, hey, I'm going, in a time where swords aren't used anymore. This could really get, whoever's using me in a lot of fucking trouble. Maybe I should change to whatever's being used here. You know what I mean?
Let's see.
Like,
Revolver, 9mm, AK-47.
Yeah.
oh
Assault
no,
rifle.
Excalibur, straight up Desert Eagle.
Oh, definitely Destiny.
Just
Or-
literally, you see him reach into the suit and pull out a full Desert Eagle.
Holy Where'd you have that? What, you didn't see it at the meeting? No! I thought it was your dick! No.
I thought it was your dick.
This is only half as big as my dick.
Oh,
And it would
wow.
have to have ornate design on it, like almost like it was Excalibur at one point.
Just something of that pretty value, as Britt is
It's-
giving us live
That's windy.
footage from where she is right now.
I thought it was
It's windy.
snow at first.
It's beginning to
all
look
neat.
a lot like winter. Everywhere it blows.
But yeah, I don't see either of them honestly having too much difficulty being able to adapt to our times. I would say maybe a year and a half tops, and they'd probably be running shit.
That actually sounds like an interesting... Those both sound like interesting stories, which leads me to be like, where were you when these ideas were being made?
Here,
God damn it.
Right, they weren't at this podcast. That's what threw it off.
I swear, give it a few years time, someone makes a script like this, and then all of a sudden just be like, we talked about this years ago.
damn it, we should have copyrighted that, motherfucker.
Patent right now.
Before you even upload this, patent it.
Why me? It's Phoenix's
But you're
idea.
the fucking host! Patent it!
I can't patent it. It's his idea.
Throw it
Nick
shit.
Carter.
I give you legal permission.
Oh, okay.
Patent it in my name.
I, Shweebe the Amazing, grant you permission to patent this so I can watch it later on the TV. God damn it, do it!
Alright,
Not gonna
fine.
lie, that would be amazing if they made a TV show where the main characters are major characters from history or from lore. Like Hercules
You mean like
is-
Once Upon a Time?
No,
Don't say
fuck
that
Once Upon a
garbage
Time.
around me.
Ooh, you better not tell your mother that. She loves
Look,
that
Kathy
show.
loves it, but that is what it is. That show is garbage. I'm talking about a legit show where most of the main characters are characters directly out of lore. For instance, the big crime boss is Robin Hood. The guy running the Fortune 500 for the entire city, that's Arthur. The one who is the biggest police officer is Hercules. These people are transported from other worlds, other timelines, to our world and have adapted, and this is what they do now. Because they realized they no longer have a role in a timeline. They just exist here. So they found a way to exist here. I think that show would be absolutely badass.
Oh, but then it should somehow tie into where somehow they all discover that they're not from the same, they're not from that time, and then, obviously one of them's got to be stuck on the idea of being able to go back or something. Fake promises and so on, and then somebody in there has to use this because they know it's a weakness and then stuff, and yeah, drama. Gotta build up that drama, baby. It's what everybody loves. Fucking drama. Making shows that you love and characters that you love just die horribly.
No, I want to see a fight where Arthur pulls Excalibur and Hercules puts on his punching gloves.
It's punching gloves.
The lion punching gloves?
Oh,
Literally-
Cestus is?
Yeah,
Don't talk
That
about
would be some
asbestos in here. What's wrong with
fucking
you?
awesome shit. Especially because Hercules is physically immortal. But
Physically
Excalibur
with
is
a
magic.
Hot, immortal, youthful wife. Except he cheats on Hebe. And I'm like, dude, she's the goddess of youth. How dare you cheat on this hot piece right here? But anyway, since I now have another script to write now, thank you.
You're welcome.
We are going to... Actually, yeah, we have enough time to do another topic where I actually want to get some nice little feedback going for Lovecraft Month coming up for March. I want to first talk about Yogg-Sothoth for a little bit.
I'm okay with that.
Mostly, I want to talk about how out of every Lovecraftian horror and eldritch god, even Azathoth himself, Yogg-Sothoth is the one that's everything. But would that also mean that if we were to have him no longer exist, does that mean even the dream that Azathoth thinks that he's having is no longer existent? Or does that mean just nothingness is now the congruent thing?
I feel like the proper answer for that would be yes. Because that's such a hard thing to wrap your head around, because it's like a, is it or is it not? But the answer is yes, because it is and is not at the same time.
Well, if we take
You know
on
what I
the
mean?
concept of multiple timelines, technically, there's millions of Yogg-Sothoths who are all sleeping at the same time. How do we know that we're the dream of the Yogg-Sothoth of this realm?
Actually, it's
There's-
Azathoth who's dreaming, but Yogg-Sothoth is keeping Azathoth asleep with a lull from these
One of
loot
them
demons.
thoughts is sleeping, okay?
Yeah, one of them fucking hookers over there are sleeping.
But it's Yogg-Sothoth that is everything and nothing. That's the confusing thing. So it's like, one's the dream, but one is everything.
My point still stands the same. If he's everything because he is the dream, then technically, as long as the other one is sleeping, he still exists. So, how do we know that the dream of, is from the one of this realm?
Or is he more than a dream? I was hoping Shweebes would have like a, oh my god moment from that quote, but I guess not.
No, because I've done debates like this before, so it's like, no, it's honestly, I mean, it's whatever you're most comfortable with.
No, I was hoping you'd have like an, oh I get it, because it's like a Final Fantasy X reference right there.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
is
okay.
Yogg-Sothoth
I
gonna
see what
pull
you're
Titus
going
out of
for.
the dream now?
Okay, wait, I'll do it just for you, Vinny. Oh my god! It's Final Fantasy X all over again. Oh my god.
But we'll go into that further detail when it's time to do Lovecraft Month. In the meantime, though, it's everyone's favorite time, the Final Thoughts segment.
Dun
Wait,
dun
what's this?
dun! Final thought segment. We've done this a couple times.
Have we now?
Yes.
Yes.
So his final thoughts
I mean,
is.
Clancy
don't-
usually comes in here with the pancakes when it's time for final thoughts. You don't remember that? Like, you already see the blueberry pancakes on your side of the desk.
I remember eating a lot of pancakes. I remember no final thoughts.
You also don't remember any blueberries. I don't put blueberries in our pancakes.
That's true. It's chocolate chips. But you were close.
There you go. Chocolate chips the whole way or nothing.
No, these are my chocolate chip pancakes.
No kidding, my papa.
You wanna kick a pie?
Who would? You know
Mom,
what? Britt's been
Daddy's
so
being a
quiet.
dildo.
It's time for her to have her time the spotlight. What are your final thoughts on the Legends podcast?
Well, while you guys were discussing between, King Arthur versus Robin Hood, I was looking up the debates, and a lot of them are from Yahoo Answers, and freaking 4 or 5 years ago, and none of them have actually come up with a conclusion other than Robin Hood. But someone made a point being what was it? King Arthur was extremely smart as well, and did have his magic, and 12 knights of the Round Table, while Robin Hood had 12 merry men, I suppose. But to me, my personal opinion is that I think their cleverness would outbeat the knights, unless they actually came up with a strategic plan where they knew how Robin Hood played. Maybe, I don't know. But otherwise, I wish I could say they were like my childhood heroes, like some people say, but I can't. I just remember the movies. The Sword in the Stone, which I still actually have my daughter watch all the time, and the Robin Hood with the fox in it. So I'm gonna go down with these are my favorites. I'm not very good with the historical factual part like you guys are, but otherwise, yeah, I think Robin Hood will kick ass. Honestly.
I mean, it's a fair statement to have.
It's like going, would Kratos or Sora win in a fight?
Well, with the power of Disney, we all know who wins that fight.
Well, Disney does have that Infinity Gauntlet now.
That's such a mental image. Like,
And instead of the Infinity Gems, it's just adding companies in their space.
I mean, they have Fox, they have ABC.
We've got Star Wars, bitches.
They're just
Who's
like
next
that one
on our
meme where it's
list?
just like,
Nickelodeon,
Just little-
bitches.
Yeah, all
Cartoon
the different
Network.
companies that it owns just sprinkling down.
On a giant bagel of just Disney ownership.
Well, my point is these are characters that would never meet in real life and would
Disney.
never have the opportunity. And that truthfully, their legends are so larger than life due to historical inflation that we'd never truly be able to get a legit answer.
that is sad. But not really sad. It is just sad for the writer in me, because I'm like, I want a conclusion.
Bless you. You're allergic
Well,
to your own bullshit.
Here's my here's one thing I just thought about. Neither were bad people.
Nope.
True.
They would have no reason to honestly fight except a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Which could happen. I feel like that's a very possible thing between those two, because they're very different.
Oh my goodness, you know what I just thought of?
Why?
What if Arthur wasn't the CEO of a company, but was in fact the police chief? Like the head of the FBI.
Oh.
Meanwhile, Robin Hood was the head of the mafia, and secretly, were best friends.
Oh, no. I like that.
I like that.
Write this shit down. Make it a fucking show. I gotta watch
Like-
this now.
Oh,
It-
I
like,
am.
full
I'm
contrast
just
to
going
their
to.
personality.
I just gotta knock out one more X. Britt, you weren't here for this recording, but I set up a system where I only have 5 charges of saying the N-word in any given season, because I don't normally say this.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Here we go. Drum roll.
Someone give this nigga a job at Netflix.
I'm just saying, that would make, honestly, I would watch the shit out of
So
that show.
would I, and I really don't binge
3
watch
left.
TV all that much anymore.
He'd still have that fucking Colt Desert Eagle.
Hell
Right
yeah.
here.
And
Hold
they're just
on.
like, but Chief,
Yeah.
no, not the Desert Eagle. Desert Eagle. Sir, I thought that
Isn't
was your
that I can
song.
imagine Robin Hood and King Arthur as Tommy and Ghost from Power? That's how I almost see it as now. It's like, I don't know. I don't know why I'm seeing it that way. I've only seen like the first 3 seasons of Power, I guess. But like Robin Hood is Tony and Ghost is King Arthur. And like, you know, because what's his face? I forgot his name already. I said it. Ghost, the club dealer, he's the one who could be like King Arthur. And then you have Timmy, whatever. He does like work and is all like clever and shit though. But like, you know, they're a little bit more sophisticated than the show Power, because you know there's like some sort of triangle or something. I don't know. And thrown off.
So I heard from Britt and I heard from Phoenix about their final thoughts. Shweebes!
Well, my final thoughts is I love that show. I want to fucking watch that. Somebody make that now, because I think that'd be really cool. But on the actual topic itself, I'm gonna have to change my original opinion to it being Robin Hood. Though, I am leaning towards the magic that Arthur probably very well could, like, decimate the crap out of Robin. But, again, that adaptability and that fight or flight thing, I think Robin Hood would outsmart the fuck out of Arthur very quickly. So, yeah. And I will say, I lean more towards Robin Hood when it comes to the overall stories and stuff. Like, I don't know what it is, but, like, I've read so many more books compared to, like, King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, or, like, just the Excalibur stories. I've read way more Robin Hood stuff, so, yeah. Robin Hood for the win! There you go.
Alright, well, I will now be the old... Where's my cane? Damn it! Oh, that's the pimp cane. No, that's not the pimp cane either. Yes, Phoenix.
I thought, what if, in the show, these are characters who are pulled out of their own time and are now technically immortal. They will never die of old age. So they have literally been walking through history, slightly guiding it, but more doing what they can. And they're really powerful men, and there's multiples of them. It's not just Robin Hood and Arthur. There would be multiple characters and opportunities to introduce new characters.
I don't know about the immortal thing, because you gotta have that...
No, they can die.
That's
They can
selective
kill.
immortality.
They can be killed. Diseases can take them. They have a really strong immune system, but diseases can take them. However, they will not die of old age, because they've technically been removed from time itself in their own timeline.
Okay, that's fine. But I feel like if they got stabbed in the chest, they should die.
Oh yeah, if they get shot in the heart, they're dead.
Okay.
Unlike well, except for certain characters like Hercules. I'm sorry, he's kind of demigod.
He's now a god of strength and heroism and all that sort of shit. We'll hammer out these.
He's an MMA fighter.
He's
Yeah,
an MMA
we'll hammer out all these ideas later. We promise, guys. It's gonna be a show under my entertainment label now. But final thoughts. Going into this, I'm just like, I love both, because making rogues characters is the staple of making a Robin Hood character. If you cannot do a good one unless you take staples from what makes Robin Hood. However, at the same time, you can't make a good king without taking notes from what is the positive mythos that comes from the Arthurian lore side. Because God knows there are some bad ones, but mostly come from Uther. And when they confuse the two, and then just say that Uther's just the code name for Arthur, even though it's just like, why would he take on the name of his dad, who was a dick? That makes no sense. But whatever. I didn't write this shit. And now coming out of this, I'm just thinking to myself, there should be a bigger web because of all these myths, these legends, because there are a lot of them. Like Cuchulainn with his warp spasm out in Ireland, along with Finn McCool and his Fiechter, also underneath a mountain. Charlemagne underneath that temple of his. There are so many amazing legends, and from just Phoenix's idea alone, there could be an entire huge universe of all these legends that are just popping in either from different timelines, being brought in from just their different scenarios to then become these interesting characters where they're running something, they're part of an establishment, they're part of a crime syndicate, whatever. But to just let them waste away into the memory of just like, oh, we have these guys sitting here, but we're just doing nothing with them, is the same bullshit reason I'm pissed off at Disney today with all these remakes and reboots and reimaginings. That's for a different podcast for a different day. All in all, though, I've enjoyed this talk a lot. I've come out of this talk with a lot more on my mind than just bare minimum, and I want to see what we tackle on in future Legends podcasts, because there are so many legends that we already got to talk about as is in the world, that we could do stuff like this for a long time. Or not, I don't fucking care. And, oh, wait, these chocolate chip pancakes have strawberries.
Yuck.
Yay!
Throw them up against the wall and let them splatter and stain everything red.
But I do that for those ugly ass waffles that people say are plain. I don't do plain.
I only do them plain if they've been toasted and they have butter on them. Because then that shit is just like a waffle chip. Are you talking about toast? What? I'm tired.
Waffle
What did you say?
No, Shreeves, you brought up toast with butter. What does that remind you?
Buttered toast.
I got chicken, Eddie!
Not just
I
that,
love
not just
chicken.
that.
Or are you talking about I Am Bread? Which, fuck that game, by the way.
No, not just that. The
What?
story of Sven and the toast.
Oh! Wow.
That nice
I wouldn't
fluffy
think
bread.
about that. I thought you were making fun of me at first. I was like, what?
That nice fluffy bread that was not that crispy but also still fluffy. And he decided to fucking...
I can only imagine the mess and the possible infection he got afterwards.
Oh.
Just no.
That reminds
Wouldn't
me.
English muffin have been better because all the nooks and crannies?
Probably.
Just cut a hole right through the middle and own a hole that shit.
You'd been better off just getting a damn donut or a bagel.
Nah, too greasy. Too much slidage, not enough friction.
That reminds me though, next time, one of our 2 topics will be about the 1970s. Pop out y'all's old expired mushrooms and weed. We are hopping back into the age where hippies were getting jobs, records were still all the rage, and hip-hop was about to hit the scene.
Whoop whoop.
But that's all gonna be for next time. Wait, guys. Now, I know I may be partially blind as the years go by, but I don't remember us having all these tentacles on the floor.
What are you talking about? Ah! Ah! Oh god!
Got money on my mind every day. Please don't play with mine, put it in the bag. Usually I can leave it in the past. You gon' make me have to show my ass. Ooh, I can love you till the sun comes up. Let me lay your body down. You don't even really gotta ask. I'ma love you better than the rest. Ooh, say something, say something, say something.